Okay. Okay, so good day everyone. So yeah, welcome to this episode 3 of Laz-Talk. Tok-Kong, yeah. So yeah, so this is where we talk anything under the roof, and then we just talk and just talk anything we want to talk about freestyle. Okay, we just technically didn't prepare for this anything like that. We're gonna prepare today, but of course we have every time we have a topic. Okay, but I think one very important topic we have. I think it's a very interesting topic that we have today. So what's the topic we're talking about?
Okay, so this time something special because like the past two time we felt it was timely to talk about the various campaigns that we're pushing out. Like episode 1, it was more of 7/7, the 7 mega offer. Then episode 2, which was quite recent, like 2 weeks ago, it was about the 8 mega campaign, which teasing has already begun, by the way. So for today, we will dive a rather deep dive, something more interesting other than just campaigns all the time. So today we will be talking about a very sought after feature that sellers would want to get themselves into, which is flash sales.
Yeah, so flash sales is like it's the daily mechanics, and also a very good campaign mechanics, like very, very sought after. And before I talk about flash sales, we already talked campaign previously. Of course, we want to really thank sellers for really participating in all our campaigns that we really promote, especially for this 8/8. We've seen a very good reception from all the sellers, and then a very good, very strong submission from almost all our sellers.
Oh.
So if you see, we'll hopefully, of course, this will hopefully run into a very good campaign in the next few days. But of course, back to the topic of flash sales, right? Flash sales, what flash sales, I think everyone knows, helps you to drive traffic, helps you to drive sales as well. So I think like when we launched like that 2 years ago, when we launched, like the platform was a lot much simpler, right? Like flash sales was the number one thing that a lot of sellers really want to get. And then when they want to get this kind of things, I think the first complaint we always get is that there were like technically zero transparency over how flash sale products are being selected one over the other.
Okay, and then today, since you guys want to really find out exactly what goes on behind the scenes with our flash sale team, like what are the guidelines that sellers have to adhere to, all these back-end guidelines that the flash sale team go through each and every time they approve a deal. Because like flash sale is very different, right? Like, you know, when you log into your Lazada app itself from a customer perspective, I mean, the first thing that you see at the top is always the flash sale. Right? Like, it's definitely a very prime location for anyone's deals to be featured.
Wow.
So today we will be going through a rather 12 quick tips and like generic guidelines for you to look out for flash sales.
Yep. So these 12 tips will definitely help you to make to make you understand like some of the decision making process on how flash sales is being selected. Of course, nowadays everything is like is AI run. So even flash sale is technically the tool technically pushes out a recommended product based on some of these 12 items that we are going to list today. But of course, before we start on flash sales, right, we want to tell a lot of sellers is flash sales is not for you to make money on. Okay, it's not for really you can make a bit, but don't expect to really like make a very big margin, because really flash sales, because of the 12 things that we're going to mention later, is I think one of the items listed over there. I think we can start with item number 1. What's item number 1?
Okay, so item number 1, definitely the first tip I want to give to you guys would be, other than price, because price is a very important factor, like you have to give a very good discount, right? Okay, so another factor that we want to look at would be the item performance organically. So for example, we'll look at the last 30 days, the number of items sold of your particular SKU that you will be submitting into the flash sale campaign.
Yeah, I think when they talk about sales, they really talk about organic sales. That means let's not say that this item is on flash sales, or let's say it's not on any special. I think they're probably looking at how the items sold probably last 30 days. Why I think also why this is very important is because, like, if your product were to sold organically, right, technically it means that you put a lot of effort into the product creation portion. Like, you put a lot of thought into the title, you put a lot of effort into putting a few pictures into your product images, and then you do your lorry kit or product description very nicely. That actually drives up the organic sales for that particular item.
Oh.
So that's why I think this is number one, but it's something that we always want to focus on is the item performance last 30 days. Of course, we try to not accept products that has like organically 30 days performance, not just if the organic performance of the last 30 days is not very good, technically it will not be there. But of course, if there are things that are of course trending, I think they have enough data to justify this product is trending. So even if the product has sold very limited quantities, they will probably always like do a mini experiment to put the product up there to see to validate the claim that this is a very, very important search term, very highly trend search term, and then it does result in actual flash sales when you put into flash sales aside. Okay.
Yes, so other than like the item performance organically at last 30 days, I mean, like the second tip we want to give you guys would be, let's say if your current product that you're submitting, it was on flash sale before. So the second one, like they'll look at the previous flash sale price, like to be competitive, right? The flash sale team will look at it in a way to ensure good customer experience, as they do not want to feature items or SKUs whereby the prices tend to fluctuate too much, or rather fluctuate often.
Yeah, and of course, I think this question a lot of sellers ask is that I think a good example is some sellers always ask, how come my price is always the lowest? But of course, it does not get featured. Okay, so I think a lot of things we said, we're going to mention that along the way. But I think so. We also want you to know that there are products that the price, they are able to see the last 30 days price. If you did a system change on the price, they also can see one that. So they know technically this price probably previously before you enter flash sale with this price, what was the original like price before it? Do you like mark up the price, or then you submit? So you submit to flash sale so that it seems like a bigger discount. They are able to see what was the last lowest price that even not just flash sales, but mainly they from organic sales, what was the best price that it was actually sold out for. Not just and also not just, I think it's not just a thing, like let's say you sell a product, let's say you sell a mouse, the mouse of that particular brand will be of course matched with other people who are selling the same mouse also, like and the same mouse, and then with the same mouse, then you will know if your price range is what they call competitive. It's not, I think they're not focusing on lowest price, they are focusing on competitive pricing. That means you should be around there, but not too low, not too high. So it should be a ballpark number. But of course later we talk about more, then you understand it's not just the price that matters.
Yes. Okay, and also to add on something whereby you see, okay, for example, you join a campaign itself. Let's say you submit campaign price of this product. Let's say the original price 25. Then you submit into the campaign itself, not flash sale, just a normal campaign itself, submit at $20. Okay, so $20 is the baseline. But then your flash sale itself, you did not submit as a high enough discount as in comparison with the campaign one. So let's say you submit at $20.50. So for this, definitely it will be rejected, because flash sale itself, you're supposed to give an even more competitive pricing as compared to the campaign itself. So this one is something that we want you guys to look out for also.
Yeah, so I think not just, of course, prices is very important. We do also focus on, one of the key things I think they do focus on is the last flash sales performance. I think you can elaborate a bit on that.
Yeah, so like, I mean, if you were to get into flash sale before, that means it's very good. Like, I mean, like the whole platform, or rather the whole range of sellers like we have on Marketplace or Last Month, they are all vying for these very prime slots of flash sale. So let's say if you were to get into flash sale before, then some of the stuff that the flash sale team will look into, okay, previously when you were in flash sale, how many units exactly were sold for you in the flash sale itself? Because as you guys know, we say a lot of time, like flash sale is one of the highest traffic module that we have. Like you go into the app, itself, it appears right away on the top. So there's always a flash sale tab for consumers to look at, and that is why it has such prime visibility itself. So let's say if this particular SKU has joined a flash sale before, and then we check whether has it performed well or performed not well. So that is one of the factors that the flash sale team are looking into.
Yeah, so this brings me to a previous point. You say that, hey, so let's say the team actually takes consideration, let's say product A with product A has a lower price than product B. But because product A previously, when submitted to flash sales, did not sell any units during the flash sale slot itself, so the system will not take product A because of the last flash sale performance, but they will instead say let's try to push product B that is from another seller, and then to see how this flash sale item actually performs on this period of time. So it's smart enough to really notice that, hey, because of your past flash sale performance, they will try to give other sellers of the same product a chance, even though the prices that he submitted may be a few cents higher or maybe about $1 higher. They will still recommend the other product.
Oh.
Yeah. So I think that's point number 3. Yeah, I think that's point number 4 we have is to, of course, not to put any counterfeit product. Counterfeit products, no matter how cheap, will get removed. Okay, so even if
you maintain the platform integrity also lah, like flash sale, there's the highest visibility, but we don't want to push out stuff that are fake, that will result in a very negative customer experience also.
Yeah, of course, if like the person, like the flash sale team maybe overlook it, and then when it goes live during the period of time, right? Then sometimes this kind of products will just suddenly will disappear off the flash sales one.
Yes.
Yeah, because like because sometimes they don't know whether it's some like whether it's a counterfeit or not. Then suddenly some brands will probably call in and say, hey, this product I confirm is counterfeit. It's not from us. Then we have to take it down lah. Okay, even you can say it's authentic, but if the brand says it's counterfeit, they have proof that it's counterfeit. Then we have to follow suit lah. But of course, in first place, if you're not very sure your price, your source. So I think this brings out a point lah. So what determines a product is how do we? I think we should also talk about how Lazada actually try to know if a product is counterfeit. Okay, so I think I explained this process a bit so that sellers get understanding of how the reporting process goes. Okay, Lazada technically do not remove any listings, okay, suspected of counterfeit. Okay, the only way a counterfeit is being reported is normally reported by brands or other sellers who actually host exclusive distribution rights or distribution channels. So what happens is, let's say a certain makeup, and then a certain brand has only a sole distributorship in Singapore. That means he's the only one who will probably get the stocks. And then you are selling the same makeup that he or she has. She will definitely raise the claim against your product, saying your product is counterfeit. Because why? Because in Singapore, I'm the only party who has the sole distribution channel. So the other party who is selling the suspected counterfeit has to prove that that product that he's selling is coming from an authentic channel and authentic source. So normally what happens is businesses will ask for the invoice to prove that where this item is coming from, and then this information will be verified with the brand owner itself to confirm that this comes from the authentic source of channel distribution itself. Because in ourselves, again, Lazada do not take down products because Lazada, I think this is a counterfeit, unless it's a very obvious case of counterfeit, then we take it down. But if it's not a very obvious case, like especially in makeup cases, we do not take down proactively until someone reports it.
Yes. Okay, so and to add on also for this, the reporting wise, we wouldn't say like brands, all these official brands, they tend to report like those, or I expect this one is counterfeit, right? But you guys know our community is also very active, right? I mean, here and there we have sellers own self flagging out for us to go check also. And then just to give a quick reminder of the reporting process, I mean, if you tune into our June seller gathering live stream, whereby we invited our legal representative Anissa, and then she did some of the Q&A with regards to intellectual property like queries and all, and then they show you exactly how can you report all these IPR form of breaches in the platform itself. So for that, just do remember to go back and take a look. It's available. The replay is available on our seller center and even on our Facebook page as well.
Yeah, so do have a look at all this stuff, because they have now a standard process instead of just sending emails. They want to have a more process which will benefit all sellers in the long term. It's more like short-term pain and long-term gain. Okay, once you give ownership over that picture that is yours in e-commerce space itself. Okay, but of course, let's back to the flash sales requirement. We were counterfeit is actually point number 4. So now we're going to focus on like point number 5.
Okay, so point number 5, another one to look out for would be like, for example, SKUs with very high stock allocation. So the reason for this is that the flash sale team do not want sellers to bombard their stocks, or rather their SKUs with very high stocks, as this affects the sell-through rate of the SKU, as well as it sort of affects like the placement of the SKU during the live period.
Yeah, I think a lot of sellers don't understand what it means. So I think what this really means for sellers is that, so like sometimes when you put into the flash sale, right, we don't recommend sellers putting too little. Too little, it does not look very nice, because normally you see a countdown bar moving, right? If you put too little, you put less than 10 stock, right? People can see it's less than 10 stock. Then once it's sold out, right, your traffic to your store stops also. Then it's technically waste of the flash sale slot. You're wasting the slot, because once it's sold out, right, there's no more traffic, there's no more sales, all stop already. Like normally people will say, wow, shit, just sold out. I guess let's faster buy the other item. Then if you put too little, that's the problem. But if you put too many, wow, people will see, wow, this one got
not attractive, lor.
99 pieces left. Wow, let me slowly wait. 99 pieces, I think I slowly wait until for the next hour. Let me shop around if see got a better deal on the platform. So you're not, again, so you are not encouraging them to do the impulse purchase if they see that, hey, there's too many stocks online and too many stocks that you submitted for flash sales and it's not optimal. So normally that's why they always ask you to submit something like 30. I think 30 is a very good number, 30, 40.
Yes.
Into a very good. Of course, if your thing is very, very expensive and you're submitting to flash sales to get transaction, probably then those kind of like 5 is enough. Like probably we see very big items. I think we saw things like watches.
Yes, watches.
Tend to be very small quantity, because those are really to encourage the impulse purchase for those watches. And of course, sellers will say the margin is not very good, very high. They are like forfeiting their revenue for traffic itself. So that they only can put that amount of pieces of watches on that price. So of course, the numbers that you submit into the flash sale campaign must make sense. Like, don't be too little. If you know your one is fast moving, of course put a very big amount. If yours is not definitely those fast moving, it's a very small customer group who will spend that money, then you can just put a small amount that encourage a fast purchase.
Yep. And also brings back to the point, like for flash sale, just remember you must look at it in a way, it's not for sellers to really make money unless you're doing all the in-house like R&D production and all, then your cost margin is very low. Then yes, if you submit to flash sale, definitely is a profit driving mechanism. But in general as well, like flash sale itself, you must see it as more of a in terms of the long term you must see it more of a like marketing cost and all. So whatever you submit in, just because the amount of visibility that flash sale module gets this time is really extremely high, so you can look at it, submit. If you really get into the flash sale, then good for you. Then try to sell as much as you can, and then from there you will experience more store visits, and then ultimately the buyer might potentially basket build and even buy some other stuff from your various store campaigns.
Yeah, so it's very important for sellers to think that way, as that, because they're really, as e-commerce, I think e-commerce now has become very, very, very complex. Of course, there are other ways to build traffic, other ways to build traction into your store itself as well as sales. Of course, but of course, a lot of sellers will still prefer using flash sales to use it as a way to actually be ahead in the race itself. But of course, I think how I mentioned earlier, every time the flash sales is like one day, so now our flash sales is run on a 24 hours time slot. So there's no like every few hours. So 24 hours time slot, there's only that amount of SKUs they can select for that placement. So of course they try not to overload the flash sales, else it does not look like a flash sales slot. It looks like a list of never-ending story. Yeah, so that's why it's very, very important to really think about all this stuff. Okay, number 6. Number 6, I think we bring back to the same point, is that of course the price the last 30 days must be the lowest price that you have, like lower than your campaign, lower than your any like or even on your flash sale price. Not say lower, like, I think probably can be on the same competitive price as your old flash sale price, but it has to be lower than compared to definitely your campaign prices, your last 30 days prices. But that's why you should not play around, try to manipulate the prices and try to submit to flash sales.
Yes. I mean, like when you were to submit into the flash sale campaign itself, like same as how you submit into normal campaigns, the recommended price is already sort of like listed within the bracket already. So just from there, you have to lower than that. So that's the minimum lah that you have to hit also.
Wow.
Yeah, sometimes of course, you lower than that is good, but of course you really need to know like if you're selling that product, you probably know like, hey, my competitor previously go to flash sale, what's the pricing, and how go to flash sales, this amount was sold at what price. You probably need this kind of like market information to better like submit your flash sales item also. How many units you submit, how many were sold, how many units, what's the time slot, what's the day itself, and of course what's the price that he put. So this will give you a better decision to make. Hey, so I submit to flash sales, my competitor the time he did this at this price, if I can follow, if he does well with that price range and that quantity, I should follow suit, right? So I have a mindset say, my competitor goes so low, I don't lose money. I still continue put at a range that I am comfortable with. So this are also a bit of market research that you need to do before submitting. Like, not just see the price we recommend you, then you put it up, but of course we do match you against your competitors and anyone that is selling the same product that you have with the same price range.
Okay, so maybe I'll move on to the number 7 point this time. Okay, so number 7 tip that we have would be, okay, so items that might have participated very frequently, like example, like every once a week, and then there's a reason why like they don't appear too much on the flash sale itself, because the flash sale team, what they really want to highlight is that they want to try and test out to have a variety of different products each time during this flash sale, due to its how limited it is also. And then so items that run very often during this flash sale that happen to be like, let's say even your item super trending each time, but you won't appear on flash sale every single time that you submit. Why? Because the flash sale people, they want to have a variety, so they might reject it, because it is also proven that the more frequent times that is on flash sale in terms of time period, let's say every single week, I mean the performance definitely drop. Like consumer itself, if I see the item, hey, this item on flash sale this week again, then maybe I'm not so urgent to buy. So if here and there, after a certain period of time, then they see, oh, it's finally on flash sale again, then they will have that urgency to want to purchase and check out. So yeah, that's the sort of the gist of it lah.
Yeah, I think also, so I like a lot of sellers takes flash sales as a way of a guiding post on like what item to bring. Some sellers really take flash sales very seriously. That means they see flash sales, this flash sales, this item now sell very well. So can I stock it? Can I bring in this exact product and sell it on Lazada? Because this product definitely, if it sells so well on flash sales, it means that it probably works. It probably trends in search. It also trend in other areas where people. So if it's selling very well, why I don't like people also tend to bring in like same items that sells well on flash sale. So along, so we don't want so the market becomes a bit saturated once we flash it a few times, and then people start to know, hey, but this product sell very well. Then after that, you'll see a lot of sellers selling the exact same products that is like readily available. So of course, we want you to be, of course, to participate very frequently. But of course, you need to know that, of course, sometimes when you participate, they will reject because they already have the data proven and has data proven numbers to show that, hey, if I put it on flash sale again, it may not sell that well, that well again, because it's the X number of time that is on flash sales, and then consumers are probably already bored of it at this point in time.
Okay, so let's move on to the number 8 tip. Okay, number 8 tip, like what Mei Lun mentioned earlier before. Okay, so flash sale team will definitely check on the various. I mean, like Lazada is not the only e-commerce platform that we have here in Singapore. So another important factor would be competitors' price also. So what we want to see is that, okay, they'll check through, let's say, all the various different platforms, even on Lazada itself. Competitors' price in a form that they want to try to ensure that each time when these flash sales get approved into this Lazada flash sale, they want to make sure, okay, this time is the best price. And then although it might not be the most accurate each time, but they do not want the prices to differ too much if found also.
Yeah, so sometimes when the find so this is more or less related to, I think someone wanted to be, this is very more or less related to what we call customer experience, right? So like we say, like we always brag and say, flash sales is always the best product at the best prices. So imagine you're a customer, you buy product A, you buy a earphone at Lazada. You imagine, you say that they say lowest price already. Maybe you bought at $79. Then imagine you go to another platform and then you see, or you search on Lazada, you found that, hey, there's another seller actually selling like $5 cheaper when the item is not on flash sale. Then you will feel that, hey, I feel very cheated. So I will not believe that flash sale is always the lowest price. I will start to believe that I can still find better offers at other times. So this will reduce again on and off the urgency of the person checking out immediately. So he believes that there's always a better price elsewhere. So he will wait and then buy later.
Yeah, so other than price, maybe the next tip that you want to give, this one might not be related to
I don't think
all
that's
sellers.
this straightforward for everyone.
It's a quite interesting tip. Tip number 9. Okay. So I mean, okay, this one is related to sexual wellness. Okay. So okay,
it sells
like
very well,
guys,
technically.
Yeah, this one sexual wellness really sell very well, because sex really sells. Okay, so one example would be, okay, yes, you can see those more discreet one, like, okay, let's say condoms or the loops, or even like those Tongkat Ali boosting form of mechanism, all these type of capsule.
It sells very well.
Yeah.
I always
it sells damn well.
in the past, right, previously they do put a bit of Tongkat Ali on the flash sales. It really sold out. Okay. But I think reason of why this kind of things really sell well in e-commerce is because the ability to be to buy the thing to be discreet when buying the product, right? And the packaging is pretty just discreet. You don't know what is inside, and then and people do feel secure buying this kind of thing online because they cannot be recognized. But like this is a Singaporean mentality. But of course, this product we do not advertise. We cannot advertise like openly on the flash sale side. Why do we say so? Because there are, of course, people who are under 18 who are still shopping in Lazada also.
Yes. I mean, our platform is open to all, right? Like, for example, if you want to purchase like alcohol, if your age, if you set like below 18 or rather something like that, then all the SKUs for all this alcohol won't appear for your account. So that is one of the preventive measures put in lah. So bringing back to the point, like why all these Tongkat or Ali sell so well. I mean, if you look at it on flash sale, if today have. I mean, you look at their main PDP image, it's already like they do all the different designs to show, or rather they showcase and shout out all the different USPs of their various Tongkat Ali capsules and all. So this is something that you can learn from them. But also, even though like let's say Tongkat Ali condoms or these loops are allowed on flash sale, but sex toys, or rather those small obvious sex toys, like you guys should know what I'm talking about lah, will not be allowed for flash sale.
Yeah, so it's an obvious direction, like is to really make it a child friendly platform, so they can buy anything. Like you can make it maybe a kid was maybe looking for Lego, they end up looking at the wrong thing. Okay, but I don't know how this will happen. Okay, maybe randomly it happens lah. But if you are really up for a good laugh, right? Maybe one day full day you're very stressed, right? And then you are of legal age, right? You can go and look out for these listings. The review on these products are hilarious. Really.
Yeah, the review all very funny.
If you're really up for a good laugh and then you don't feel offended by this stuff, you can always just go and look at this product and really look at the review. It's very funny. Okay, you're just just up for a good laugh.
I think one quick example, like let's say one of these Tongkat Ali, I think I just went in and see, because it's been appearing quite a bit, like different number of sellers, like they advertise like this Tongkat Ali. Then you go in and see the review, then people are saying, oh wow, this one, they give 5 star, always 5 star, and then they're like, oh wow, I really got a lot of energy, then and able to give them to last throughout the day, that sort of thing lah.
Yeah, they got a lot of weird comments, but they got funny ones. But at least go and it's really quite interesting. You really got to have a good laugh, or they just go there and have a look. It's really quite a very fun experience looking at the reviews. Like people are very willing to, I don't know, share pictures and share a very comment on this kind of sexual wellness, but because they're very sporty and fun about this, the whole thing.
All this picture doesn't mean of them like using or what, like it's just picture of the product like they receive. Oh, this is very discreet packaging. Then they write their honest feedback about how they feel after taking the product also.
Okay, so I think of course that's the platform rule. But what is number 10 we have is of course talking about, again, it's just pricing lah. So discount, when we talk about this, we need to know that the discount versus the current price of the SKUs in Lazada itself. So to ensure that the best one is matching your last 30 days price, make sure it's lower, and then of course it's not just lower, but of course the percentage that is lower than the previous last 30 days has to be quite significant, so that they are knowing that they are bringing the prices to the consumer. It's the same thing like I just now talked about the customer experience part lah. Like coming to the platform and then realizing that you're not getting the best deals, that there's still some best deals out there, then you will start to lose trust in the flash sales mechanics really.
Yeah, so other than price, I mean like this one very simple, just follow the recommended price that is shown when you are trying to submit your flash sale lah. Okay, and then let's move on to number 11 tip. Number 11 tip that we have, I think this one is more from the flash sale team to see whether this seller is they look at your seller cancellation rate, they look at your ship on time, and of course look at your seller rating. I mean like to provide the best form of customer experience, they also want to ensure that the one fulfilling all this flash sale is a responsible seller. Something, if you're reputable, then definitely all the more better. So they want to make sure for the consumer to have the best form of experience in receiving the product after a confirmed flash sale. Then there's obviously something, or rather the back end stuff that they look at each time.
Yeah, I think also so seller performance plays a very big part in terms when on and when if the product really would really encourage the person to buy on the spot. So if the customer sees that, hey, the seller is very good, fulfill on time, and then has always reply the chat and all this stuff, then it will of course increase the conversion of the products on flash sales itself. Wow. But of course, if versus a new seller, if the flash sales team decided to put a new seller on the flash sales side, they are actually taking a risk, or they're probably taking a prediction on if these products will actually sell, because it's something that's trending, and this seller is probably one of the only few that actually sells that product only. So of course your seller mainly end of the day, not just the pricing, you also focus on your store performance itself.
Yes, so I mean, like if you put in the work to improve your seller rating, your seller cancellation rate, maintain it at a very low, best is 0, like your ship on time, best if it's 100% and all, then yes, you stand a better chance at being selected for flash sale lah. Okay, so Wei Lun, let's move to the final tip that we have, the number 12 guideline.
Okay, so the last tip that we have is, okay, so they do not, okay, so they're looking at the seller shipping fee that is not more than 20% of the flash sale price. So previously, I think why this was actually mentioned out is because, like in the past, we used to run this like 490 Friday, which was a very successful Friday. That was before that when we introduced collection point into the system itself. So collection point before introduce system, like if the customer select collection point, the 490 item is technically only worth $2.10. Then a lot of sellers will say, hey, they lose money on that. So I think this is a new condition that they put into place, is to, of course, to see that if the shipping fee is not more than 20% of the flash sale price. Okay, but of course there are certain sellers who are of course willing to lose that amount of margin. Then I think they will accept that you really want to lose that amount of margin, which is you believe that your shipping fee is more than 20% of your 20% of your flash sale price. But I don't think that that's the case. A lot of sellers did a reverse calculation to include the shipping fee into the items disease. And also one of the situation is when we changed the shipping fee previously, and then 490 flash sales was still a thing. A lot of sellers who receive collection point orders did not fulfill the collection point orders, and then they in return they told the customer, say, hey, customer, can you cancel and place it through the postal mail. And this will become what we call a very bad customer service for the customer itself who's buying the items. Okay.
I mean,
this is very complex actually.
It's complex, cause like customer end, they don't know about the exact charges that sellers have to bear each time when they select collection point or what. But more or less, like consumer itself, when we select a collection point, is because we want it for the convenience. So if you ask me to cancel, and then you say, okay, you're gonna send me via poster instead, then I mean, like a normal person will know poster is not traceable. So they do not want to have this form of experience lah. So because they want to have the convenience, I want to collect exactly when I like. So this might result in a negative feedback eventually, even if they were to receive their item on time.
So this discount. So I of course you all get a lot of sellers say this is unfair. This is an unfair policy for sellers, but really you must think in the long run is that we are of course trying to like move away from untraceable mails, because untraceable mail is something that it affects everyone. It affects overall on and on if the faith in the customer to buy online because of the item, whether it's traceable or not. Alright, but this is more towards like building towards the future itself. But in the near future, but probably everyone will understand this point better, which is by basically listing out from the from our point of I think Lazada point of view aside. But of course, I think we're done with these 12 tips that we have. But basically, these are just purely for submission guidelines. Okay.
Yes.
Like,
I think this one also. I think we also have to thank like the flash sale team, like especially Wilson for giving us like a quick crash course, or rather a good guideline for all these 12. Because all these 12 is sort of something that he feel this will be helpful for all these sellers, then he give it to us also. Yeah.
So sellers also the system actually evolved a lot since the past. It does not work the same anymore. It's very different right now. It becomes very, 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 very AI driven to push certain recommendation out. Okay, but of course, do continue to submit as and when you see it, and of course, really continue to use flash sales as a mechanics to really help you. But of course, they are really on the campaign wise. There's really many mechanics you can use. Do always use those mechanics well. All right. I think one of the things that I think why a lot of sellers will ask is that why vouchers, flexi combo, free shipping, all these promotions are not taken into consideration when submission. Okay, because we do not know if any of these mechanics that you would on the day of the festival itself will it be actually available. So it's not a factor that they control, so that they do not include discount conditions into the actual day itself. Okay, that will be more like actual day performance. But okay, I think this is a very long chat. I don't know how long we talk. It seems like we're talking forever.
Yes, I think we wanted to make it short and sweet, but I didn't know we elaborated so much.
Yeah, it's good. I think it's good to elaborate. Like people really know that. To cite some examples, else we're just talking like some general guidelines, like examples that sellers would know that we can relate to, based on our the time that we spend in helping the community and really talking to sellers to really understand like different kind of situations, come up with different kind of answers.
Yes. Okay, then with that, let's wrap up the session. And as you guys know, now teasing has already started for 8/8. You'll run from 5th all the way to 7 August, and then our mega campaign will start very shortly from 8/8 all the way to 10/8. Okay, so look out for it. And this one is a very important campaign. Okay, it's mega campaign skill, as you can see from the collaboration with MediaCorp, right? And then we hope you guys are already fully prepared for this upcoming mega campaign. Like prepare all the chat, prepare your enough stocks, remember to top up your vouchers and all. And then we wish you guys a very good and successful campaign ahead.
Yes, of course, we'll see. Our live stream will come back again after the campaign itself. Meanwhile, we will do everyone to hope to do well during this campaign itself. Okay, very good luck everyone, and all the best.
All the best. Bye bye.
Bye bye guys.